Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jonathan, and welcome back to the Pack Talk. In this video, we're gonna go over both P name teams, so only a two-team video here. We got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Two honestly very defensive-heavy teams. One is a little more equal than the other, and that would be the Philadelphia Eagles, which we are going to start with right now. At quarterback, we got Jalen Hurts. We got Gardner Minshew and then Ian Book as his two backups. Miles Sanders is the running back 1. Then you have Kenneth Gainwell as the running back 2, along with Boston Scott at the running back 3. That first couple names there are very interesting. Jalen Hurts is looking to steer this team in the right direction and make a playoff berth. And I think he will. This Eagles team is kind of, from top to bottom, pretty good. And Jalen Hurts can do it all. Miles Sanders is a player that had 0 touchdowns at running back last year because Jalen Hurts really is doing everything. So, the only way to go is up with him. And then Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott kind of go hand in hand there, running back 2 and 3. They had a pretty big acquisition. A couple big acquisitions, honestly. They got A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans. He's going to slot in as a veteran wide receiver 1 now for them. And I expect him to have a pretty good season with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Jalen Hurts is going to feel better throwing the ball now. Then they got Devontae Smith, who's coming in, still very young, but pretty good wide receiver 2, in my opinion. And then at tight end, you got Dallas Goedert, who's a pretty good tight end. And then Jake Elliott at kicker. A lot of pretty good to high-end players there on that offense. That was kind of short and sweet. I mean, that is kind of all they have at offense, but, I think they can make it work. And then the Eagles head coach was kind of a surprise last year. They made the playoffs last year. They faced the Bucs, kind of just showed up, but hey, they made it with this new 7-team format they got. This is where it gets interesting. You have their defense now that you basically I should just name the whole team on defense, but we're just going to name off what they have. I mean, they have Brandon Graham, they have Fletcher Cox, they have Javon Hargrave, they got Kaiser White, you got Hassan Reddick, you got James Bradbury, you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who they picked up from the Saints. That's a pretty good ad for them at safety. And then Darius Slay, who's, been a pretty good corner for his whole career, especially with the Lions. And then on top 3, fantasy-wise, I had Jalen Hurts, obviously. I don't want to bash the guy, for being a quarterback, but he's got the quarterback talent, and he also can run the ball with his legs. So he's got the best of both worlds there, and he finished, I think, as the quarterback 1 last year because of those 2 reasons. And A.J. Brown, like I said, I think he's going to have a good sleeper year with the Eagles. Definitely be my second choice there. And then the Eagles defense I would take a spin on too if you play with defenses. Excuse me. Yeah, definitely take the Eagles defense because just for those reasons, all those names on that team that basically covers all the holes. Now it's just going to be a question of, can the defensive coordinator get it right? There's been teams in the past that have had names but just don't perform. Notable, I have a couple notables. Miles Sanders, I guess, even though, he didn't do much last year, but the only way to go, like I said, is up for him. He had 0 touchdowns. I think he'll get a couple scores this year, hopefully. Dallas Goedert for sure. I wouldn't even mind having Dallas Goedert in my tight end as a starter from week in and week out. I think he's going to be okay, even though a lot of people are down on him. And then I think Jake Elliott would be a very good asset on your fantasy team. They're going to score a lot, I think, and get into range to score a lot. So he's going to kick, Okay, next we're going to do the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just got their name changed. They're no longer at Heinz Field anymore. I can't remember what the name is, but I'd rather have Heinz Field back because it's kind of a mouthful, I believe, to say the new name. But anyway, at quarterback, they have Mitch Trubisky starting. Mike Tomlin announced it. Mitch Trubisky is going to start, and not Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is 2, which my buddy brought up a good point. I think Mason Rudolph is only at the 2 because maybe they want to trade him sometime this season. So listing him as the 2, I guess could fool some teams to be like, Mason Rudolph's doing good in training camp, so they could get, some picks for Mason Rudolph or something. And then Kenny Pickett at 3, yeah. Which, in all honesty, I think he's going to jump eventually. It's going to be a question of when the Steelers want to start the future, because Mitch Trubisky is not the future. Kenny Pickett is, but I think Mitch Trubisky, I'm starting to like him a lot more. I don't know what it is. He just looks good as a Steeler right now. He looks poised. He looks confident. I think he's ready to steer the Steelers in the right direction. I mean, he has the offense to do it. He did lead the Bears to a division title once before, and I think he has a much better offense here. You have Najee Harris at running back 1. Now the other 2 running backs aren't very good. I mean, you have Jalen Warren and then Benny Snell Jr., which probably aren't going to do a lot. It's going to be the Najee Harris show for sure all game, every week. Then you have Deontay Johnson at wide receiver 1, Chase Claypool at 2, and then the rookie George Pickens, who's got some buzz, at the wide receiver 3. If George Pickens can take a leap, that could be a somewhat dangerous wide receiver core. Deontay Johnson had a very good season last year. He did what he had to do. And then Chase Claypool, I know he had a couple instances where he's showboating and whatnot, kind of costing his team wins. But, he's a reliable wide receiver to have. All those guys are reliable, I think. It's just that the Steelers need a receiver to be that solid wide receiver 1, and they're hoping, I think, George Pickens takes that leap, and he's always getting the ball to score and get them yards. Pat Freiermuth is the tight end, fan favorite tight end for sure in Pittsburgh, and then you got Chris Boswell at kicker, which is whatever. Again, pretty heavy defense. Not as many names, but this team just loves playing defense, I feel. I mean, you got Cameron Hayward, you got T.J. Watt, Devin Bush, Miles Jack, Terrell Edmonds, and Minkah Fitzpatrick on that defense. Not too shabby defense. Honestly, probably going to be a top 10 defense again this year. This defense could probably carry this team easily. It's just going to be a question of can the offense score, And that's the one thing that's going to hold the Steelers back, I think. And deciding when to play Kenny Pickett, I have a bold prediction that Kenny Pickett probably is going to play sometime this season. The question is when. Or who knows, maybe Mitch Trubisky shocks the NFL world and he plays the whole season because he's just that good this year. He can definitely make it work with these wide receivers and his running back and his tight end. Moving on, we got top 3, I guess, at fantasy. Najee Harris, I have 1. Easily the best decision. They're going to go top 5 in most leagues. Then you got Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool at 2 and 3. Now this is where it gets interesting. I don't have Mitch Trubisky listed in my notable. I have Kenny Pickett because I think Kenny Pickett's going to start, and he's got a lot of upside. I've liked what I've seen in preseason with him. The kid can do it, I think, even though he's got small hands, I don't think that's a problem, though. I think the kid can do it. And like I said, the other notable pick I have is George Pickens, who I think the Steelers are hoping takes that leap and can slide into that wide receiver 1 spot and actually be a solid wide receiver 1 for the Steelers. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. Those were the 2 P-name teams there. We only got a couple teams left, so I'll see you guys in the next one.